Hello and welcome to the lecture series on human resource management. So friends, up till now we have discussed certain functions of human resource management. That is, we have done what is recruitment and selection, we learnt about the training and development, and we also learnt about the performance appraisals that are done by the human resource management departments in various organizations. Today we come to yet another important aspect or function of the human resource management departments, that is the compensation management. So friends, as employees of an organization, every employee at any point of time wants a good compensation in return of the services they are rendering. So in today's lecture, we are going to learn as to what is compensation management, and what is the philosophy behind compensation management. Then we will learn about the objectives of compensation management and what are the key factors affecting compensation. What factors affect the amount of compensation that an organization gives to its employees. Then we will also learn about the functions of compensation and what are the various components or ingredients of a good compensation. So before we learn about compensation management, it is important that we understand that what is compensation. So compensation is the consolidated amount, allowances received and various other kinds of benefits and services which are offered by the organization to its employees in return of the services that the employee is giving to the organization. In other words, we can also say that compensation refers to all forms of financial returns, services and benefits received by the employees from their organization as a part of their employment relationship. So we all know that there is an employee-employer relationship. So compensation is a part of the is the consequence of that relationship. So it can be in two forms. It can be direct compensation or it can be indirect compensation. So the money paid to employees for their work in the form of gross pay is included under the direct compensation, while the benefits that are the indirect compensation, which consist of life, accident and health insurance, the contribution of an organization to retirement like retirement benefits, expenses incurred for employee welfare as social security, etc. All these constitute the indirect compensations. Now once we have learnt as to what is compensation, let's also understand what is compensation management. So compensation management is the function of human resource management, and it involves managing, analyzing and determining the salary, benefits and incentives paid to the employees. It includes both monetary as well as non-monetary benefits. Now, what is the concept of compensation management? As an organization's goals or objectives can be achieved when its employees put in their best efforts in the right direction. Hence, they should be nurtured properly and paid well for their work, performance, services, etc. So the concept of compensation management comes from the fact that when an employee is satisfied or is happy with the amount of money or other benefits he is getting from the organization, he feels satisfied, he feels motivated to perform more. So that is the concept of compensation management, which is done by the human resource managers. So compensation management, as it is known today, has been a very important source of attracting, retaining and motivating the required human resource for an organization. So as I just stated, that it is a source of motivation for an employee to stay attracted and stay retained in the organization when the organization is paying a good compensation. So how to manage that amount that is to be given to the employees, that is what the human resource managers do in the compensation management function. So although most employees, especially at the middle and senior levels, they claim that money does not play a very important role in their decision to change or to stay in an organization, but in reality it is the money which motivates most of the employees. So we normally say that we are not only attracted to money, or it is not that money makes us is going to make any difference, or it is a deciding factor in whether we are going to stay in the organization or not. But at the back of our minds as employees, we all want money, especially when we are at the lower level or at the middle level in the organization. So besides wages or salaries, organizations provide different kinds of incentives, benefits and services to their employees in return of their services. So let's quickly understand the compensation philosophy. So every organization should have a compensation philosophy of its own that guides the administration of monetary and non-monetary benefits. So every organization will have a different philosophy, because every organization will be having different philosophies or different principles or different beliefs and norms. So a compensation philosophy basically refers to a set of beliefs and the guiding principles which are consistent with the objectives of the organization. So your compensation philosophy must be in sync with the objectives of your organization. So when the compensation and the objectives go in different directions, then it is difficult to retain and attract good employees. So as HR managers, you must ensure that your compensation philosophy matches with the objectives of your organization. So the compensation philosophy needs to achieve equity, transparency and consistency in payment of compensation. So you must ensure that these three things are there in your compensation philosophy, vis-a-vis equity, transparency and consistency. Then it also needs to send a clear message to the employees that organization does not compromise welfare of employees for the sake of revenue, and that the organization is the best place to work for. So this message is also to be conveyed to the employees that we are not going to compromise your welfare for productivity or profitability, and that this organization is the best place to work for. So that is how the good employees will be retained or they can be attracted. So specifically talking, the compensation philosophy can cover some of these aspects, like what are the goals of the organization's compensation system. Every organization has certain goal for while they are devising their compensation system. So what is that goal? That has to be clearly indicated. Then what constitutes a base salary? So what is the basic salary of your organization? What percentage of compensation should be linked to individual or unit performance? Then what would benefits programs include, and what is the strategy for this benefits management? So what kind of benefit programs are given, are included in the compensation management, and what is the strategy of these benefits, how you are going to attract or retain or motivate your employees with the help of these benefits or these management programs. So that is what your compensation philosophy should cover. Now moving further to the next aspect of compensation management is the objectives of compensation management. So the first and foremost objective of any compensation program or a compensation system is to attract competent and qualified persons towards organization by offering fair wage and incentive. Now there is a high competition in terms of attracting competent employees. So if your organization is able to attract qualified and competent employees or people for the organization by the help of fair wages and incentives, then I think the purpose of the organization or the purpose of attracting qualified and good people is solved, and these people are the ones who are going to bring profitability and productivity for your organization. Then the second objective is to retain the present employees by paying competitive remuneration. So once you have attracted good employees, it is not necessary that they are going to retain unless you try to retain them by paying good remuneration. So certainly if an employee feels that the other industry or the another organization will give them a pay hike, they will certainly hop and they will change. So your compensation system should ensure that you are able to retain your present employees. Then the next objective is to establish fair and equitable remuneration to avoid pay disparities. So it is not just that you are paying good amount of money to attract good people, but you also have to ensure that you are establishing fair as well as an equitable remuneration, so that there is no pay disparity in terms of gender or in terms of industry. So say for an IT industry, if one organization is paying a particular amount, the other organization, if it pays lesser amount, then there will be a huge gap, there will be pay disparity, and in that case the employee is bound to change his job. So you have to ensure that there is fair as well as equitable remuneration. Then the next objective is to improve the production, productivity and profitability of the organization. And when we talk of production, productivity and profitability of an organization, it certainly comes from people. So if the people are retained, if the people are motivated, they are satisfied with the remuneration they are getting, the compensation that the management is paying, they will definitely work harder, their morale will be enhanced, which in turn will increase or enhance the productivity, profitability and the production of the organization. So this is an indirect, we can say, an objective of the compensation management. Then the next objective is to minimize unnecessary expenditure and control the cost through an internal check and establishment of standards. Then another objective is to improve and maintain good employer-employee relation through payment of bonus, profit sharing and other fringe benefits. It has also been observed that where the compensation management is good or effective, or the management pays bonuses and there are other fringe benefits are given to the employees, there the employee and employer relationships are amicable, they are good relations, and once you establish a good relation with your employees, or if you are an employee, you are able to establish good or trustworthy relation with your employer, then obviously your performance will increase. So when the compensations given to the employees are good, then it will maintain a good or harmonious relationship between the employee and the employer. So another objective of compensation management is to ensure prompt and regular payment of the wage and salary to all employees. So it is not just that you have a good compensation system in papers, but actually you are not implementing that system. So you have to ensure that there is a prompt and regular payment also of the salaries that are to be given to the employees. So friends, moving further, we will now learn about the factors affecting compensation management. So do all organizations pay equal amounts? So what are the factors that will determine as to what an employee will be getting, what amount he or she will be getting from the organization? So what are the factors that affect the compensation management? So broadly speaking, there are two types of factors. First is the external factors and second are the internal factors. So we will learn each one of these one by one. So coming to the external factors that affect compensation management, these are the external factors, that is productivity of workers, ability to pay, that means the paying capacity of the organization, then government policies, labor unions, cost of living, demand and supply of labor, and industry standards. So all these factors are the external factors that will affect the compensation management system of an organization. So let's quickly learn about each one of these one by one. Starting from productivity of workers. So productivity based compensation, it derives the best results, because higher the productivity of employees, the more would be the compensation. So here the compensation would directly be related to how productive you are. If you are highly productive, then your compensation would be higher in comparison to other employees who are less productive. The second is the ability to pay, or the paying capacity of the organization. So if your company has high profitability, you can pay better compensation and retain your employees. But if you are not able to pay, if you are not highly profitable as an organization, then you would be paying lesser in comparison to the other companies who are highly profitable. So that is the paying capacity of an organization. The next factor is the government policies. Obviously, the employer at times has to pay employees as per the governmental regulations, and they have to provide benefits such as the PF, that is the Provident Fund, there is medical insurance, gratuity and pension. All these are come under the government policies, and organizations have to follow these policies and have to pay as per these policies. The next is the labor unions. So we all know that unions play an important role in the management, or in the when it comes to the paying of wages and salaries to the employees. So where the labor unions are strong, they can fight with the employers for the employees' rights, and there are frequent wage revisions. But where the unions are not that strong, there the management has an upper hold, and they do not at times revise the wages and the salaries that are being provided to the employees. So unions also play an important role as far as the compensation of employees is concerned. Moving further, cost of living is yet another very crucial I would say factor that determines the salary or the wages of employees. So an employee based in a city with a high cost of living will definitely need a higher salary, whereas the ones who are in small cities, they require lesser salary. So we can easily compare that a person working in an IT company in Bangalore, or a person working in an IT industry in, say, Chandigarh. So whom do you think would be paid better? Certainly the one who is in a bigger city would be getting a higher salary, because of the cost of living in bigger cities is more as compared to smaller cities. So moving further to yet another important factor is the demand and supply of labor. So it is a very simple economic principle of demand and supply. If the demand is more than the supply, the compensation will be higher, and vice versa. Moving further to yet another factor is the industry standards. So friends, no employee would like to join a company whose compensation is below the industry standards. So within an industry, every organization has to keep itself in sync with what the industry standards are. So they have to make sure that whatever they are paying is according to the norms of your industry. Thus, you need to analyze the standard market rates of different roles and pay your employees accordingly. Because if you are not paying according to industry standards, employees are bound to change the job. Moving further is the job requirements. So generally, the more difficult a job, the higher the wages, So jobs are graded according to the relative skill, effort, responsibility and job conditions required. So where a higher amount of responsibility is involved or greater skills are involved in performing your job, those jobs are highly paid in comparison to jobs which do not require much of the skill or more of effort. So job requirements also determine your compensation. So that were the external factors affecting your compensation. Now moving to the next aspect, that is the internal factors. So these are the three internal factors, that is the company's strategy or the organization's strategy, then job evaluation and performance appraisal, and the worker himself or herself. So let's learn about these internal factors one by one. So coming to the first internal factor, that is the business strategy or the company's strategy. So the overall strategy which a company pursues should determine the compensation to its employees. Where the strategy of the enterprise is to achieve rapid growth, remuneration should be higher than what competitors are paying. So when you are, as an organization, if you plan to grow, and that growth has to be at a higher pace, then certainly you will have to pay as per the industry norms, but a little higher than what your competitors are paying, because it is only then that the employees would be retained and would be motivated to work in your organization. And if you are not paying more, then certainly your employees would shift to the organizations that are paying more. So if your strategy is to achieve growth in a lesser time, then you will have to pay more in uh, in comparison to what your competitors are paying. So that is the business strategy. Then where the strategy is to maintain and protect the current earnings. So if you want to achieve that, you have to just to maintain your current earnings because of the declining fortunes of the company. In that case, the remuneration level needs to be average or even a below average remuneration will work. So it will depend on what your strategy is at the current moment. That will determine what amount of compensation you are going to pay to your employees. The next internal factor is the job evaluation and performance appraisal. So friends, job evaluation will help establish satisfactory wage differentials among jobs, and performance appraisal, we learnt about performance appraisal in the previous lecture. So performance appraisal also helps award pay increases to employees who show improved performance. So performance appraisal is like giving a feedback about your performance, how you are performing and what gaps there are between what is to be achieved and what you are achieving at the moment. So if you are achieving better results, if you are highly productive, then a hike or a pay hike or a bonus or other incentives uh, are given. So that is, we can say, the performance appraisal is a cornerstone in determining your compensation. Whereas if you are not performing up to the mark, you will not be getting a pay hike or pay increase. So this is how job evaluation and performance appraisal will also determine what is your compensation, what compensation you will be getting. So moving further is the employee himself or herself. So there are several employee related factors that interact to determine his or her compensation. So these factors can be performance of the employee, the seniority of the employee, how many years of experience he or she has, what is the potential they have, and even there can be sheer luck. So the performance is always rewarded with a pay increase. So rewarding performance motivates the employee to do better, certainly, and managements, they prefer performance to affect pay increases, but unions view seniority as the most objective criterion for pay increases. So as I already stated, that where unions are powerful, they negotiate better with the managements, though management obviously they prefer performance over seniority, that even if somebody who is not senior enough or who does not have much years of experience but is performing better would be paid more in comparison to somebody who is senior, who has more years of experience but is low on productivity. But as far as the unions are concerned, they negotiate for the seniority. They want that the senior employees should be paid higher in terms of the compensations. So, the second criterion is certainly experience. So, experience makes an employee gain valuable insights and should therefore be rewarded. So, potential is useless if it is never realized, yet organizations do pay some individuals based on their potential. So, young managers are paid more because of their potential to perform even if they are short of experience. So, it depends from the organization to organization that at the moment what is the requirement. Do they want experience or do they want the potential of the employee? So, what is their criterion for the compensation that the organizations have to decide. So, friends, up till now we have discussed about what is compensation, what is the philosophy and the concept of compensation management, and what are the factors that affect the compensation management. So, vis-a-vis we learnt about two major factors, the external factors and the internal factors that determine the compensation that is to be given to the employees in return of their services. So, we will be discussing furthermore some more aspects of compensation management in the next lecture. Thank you.